Hello Forkies, this is day 113 of me playing just every day until I reach the rapid rating of 2500. So here we go. We have the game, we have the white pieces, so let's play pawn to e4 here. We will see what my opponent will do. He plays the Sicilian defense. Now pawn to c3 is one of the variations. Knight c6 not the best way to play, d4 of course. And d5 is the best way. There is also e6 here. D6 is just a very bad move due to d5, knight to e5 and f4. He plays knight to b8, which is yes, I don't know what this actually is. I think knight c3 and my position. I mean, look at this pawn structure. It's just amazing. Bishop a3, bishop e3 maybe. Get the bishop to e2. Maybe play f4 in the future. Um, Bishop e2 here prevents any ideas of developing something to g4. So I like that in a prospect of this idea. Also, if bishop e3, then my b2 pawn is weak. Now that g6 has been played, this is slightly weird. I think there is bishop e3, of course. Knight g4, I can just take it, and after bishop g7, I could play h3, knight f3, just castles. I could also play maybe for e5 with f4, of course. Firstly f4 and then e5. But after knight just moves, then this bishop becomes pretty strong. We have to make quick plan here. Knight f3 looks like the best way to play. And then develop this bishop maybe to g5 as well. I like this. Knight f3, bishop g7, bishop e3, knight g4, bishop d4. If then e5, I can take en passant, the bishop takes and the rook is hanging in the corner. So knight f3, bishop g7, bishop e3, knight g4. I can just play the move bishop to d4 here. With just much better position, so he castles. Yeah, that's the correct way of playing, I think. Now we could play for e5, which is slightly weird. So I will just castle knight g4. I still play d4. Although maybe h3 at this point looks as well an option. So I will play h3 maybe firstly. Of course, there is no queen b6 because of my bishop on e3. So that means that the b2 pawn is actually quite strong. I might even play b4 after rook c1, of course, getting out of the diagonal. So rook c1, a3, and b4 might be an idea of mine to get some control over c5. Bishop d7, I guess I can just castle now, I think. a6 with b5 intentions. Clearly setting up b5 as an idea, but I can also get the knight to c6. So just rook c1, side stepping from this long diagonal that this bishop has. But there are no targets there. So b5. Now c6 is actually very weak. So I might as well play a3. I might play b4 here. I mean, this knight has no square, so if I can take the advantage of that somehow, it would be pretty awesome. Now also e5 looks quite strong, but we can just slowly develop with queen d2, eh? No, but then b4 and my pawn is hanging here. So I might as well play a3 maybe. I mean, before a5, a3 takes, b5 is just super weak, so before a5 I could also just take here. There are no tricks because I have played rook c1 and now we have to speed up a little bit. Queen c7, e6, okay, now this is not real threat. Because opening up the center like this would just help me. But there is a threat because my pawn on e4 is still very loose. Although, is there an actual threat of taking? There might be, but I have some tactics there. I feel like I misplayed the position slightly. There is bishop d4 here. And if takes, then takes with the knight. I need to focus a little bit. I mean, there is takes, of course, and d6 is just weak. So I guess I will just go for takes, bishop takes, and probably like knight to d4, I think. Yes, knight d4 next move, or knight g5 as well. You have to take with the... Now, yes. But I can get knight to d5, I could also get the knight to d4. Both moves seem pretty logical though. I mean, there is e5, but d5 happens, so that's bad. I mean, d5 will inevitably happen. Unless I play the move knight d5 here, but takes and takes, I don't necessarily love the position knight is getting to e5. I like the move knight d4 here. And play for f4 maybe. Yes, I like that. f4 maybe bishop f3 as well to put some pressure on the long diagonal on the board. I mean, there might be some e5 sacrifices, but not just yet. But after f4, bishop f3, my position is just an amazing. I mean, if this is allowed, then I will probably take the bishop pair and then play for f4. I need to speed up a little bit. I'm down on the clock like 2 minutes and a half, but that's quite natural to me. I mean, I'm spending a lot of time in these games that I'm playing, but I will get. I mean, I have pretty um speedy mouse. Bishop d7 f4, of course, and bishop f3. This pawn is slightly weird, but you. I mean, knight c6. I thought I can just play bishop f3 here. Um, and that's. Oh, but b4 is also hanging. Um, maybe a3. No, I. Now I pretty much I hate my position. What is this? Takes, bishop f3, rook e8, queen d3. I guess it is what is this, yeah? There is no jump with the knights. But might be now that I say it out loud. You have to take 95, probably play bishop d7 back. No, you don't. Yes, you do. Oh, but knight c7 wins the pawn then. Bishop f3 also a move, just being solid, and then maybe bishop f3 allows rook e8. And then I don't have the move because e3 is hanging. Knight takes. Oh, knight takes is just possible, eh? So that's something I don't like. Queen d3 next, probably. Queen d3. Does it blunder something? No, the knight is defended on c3. That's the important part. Also pressures the b5 pawn, so a5 cannot be played. Also prepares rook d8 to pile on rook d1 to pile on the pressure. d5 here seems logical, but I don't think it actually works. I mean, there are some sacrifices because my bishop is loose on e3, but knight takes, bishop takes, bishop takes. I don't think that's very smart though. Now rook d1, and now suddenly, I mean, if you have to play some moves like rook e6, allowing, I mean, f5 there. Rook f5 takes, bishop takes, bishop takes, loses a piece for me. Queen is 7. Who is defending this one? I mean, I guess no one, but that's not quite important. But this will just be a draw now, yeah? Takes. No, I can take here. And you have to do something about it. My position looks pretty okay. You have. I mean, if you take me, then I think I'm. You cannot take here. That's your problem. If you take with the bishop, I can just take. I mean, the rook on c1 is defended. That's the important part. I mean, I think bishop takes is the best, but again, this loses a6 as well. And suddenly, I mean, after maybe a3, knight somewhere, I'm probably e5 might be called a threat. I'm not so sure a3 is also hanging. I have 4 minutes left. Everything is defended in my position. Bishop takes it. There is takes. But now we have to calculate. Oh my god, is there like rook e1 at the end? If I take, you take. No, I mean takes and here I can just pick up a pawn, yeah? Also, oh my god, he's almost getting mated, but he 5, then it's bad for me, but I don't take back, I think, because takes and takes. Here it's here, and I don't have bishop a3, neither I have bishop h6. Um, bishop d4, h2. I have enough time on the clock, don't you worry, but this doesn't seem like it works because rook e1 is also threatened and he has the time. Yes, this doesn't work. Um, why not? Maybe because of bishop to c3. No, I think I'm fine. I will be at least up a pawn, which is not that bad, I think. Time is the problem. Yes, I'm down 3 minutes, but I have 2 minutes and 47 seconds, and now I will stop talking as much as I would. Oh, maybe f5 next move. F5 is a brutal move. Oh, but it doesn't do anything because pawn takes. You can take with the pawn. If you take with the rook, then check, and bishop h6 wins the game. But um, not so simple. I mean, if he knight to c3 threatens rook e1, rook to rook e1, yes. Um, bishop b2, 92, bishop e2, bishop 2. This just looks better for me. Rook e1, king f2. I take and get much better rook endgame. Much better. Maybe it's not winning, but I think maybe with a4, not so simple to hold that, but probably too easy. 92 just draws, yeah. I have to take, that's probably one of the facts now. If 92 I take. Now I thought I can. Oh. Oh, the pawn is hanging on a2. No, come on, come on. Here maybe a3. 1 minute left. I mean, kind of hard to draw this. Fuck off. I will add that part out, but I just resign now. I mean, I got too little on time. Too little on time. Let's analyze the game now. So this is the game review of the game I just played. I was just too low on time. I shouldn't. I mean, okay, I played with 77% accuracy. I mean, just very bad. E4, C5 was played, of course. Now C3, knight C6, and D4 early up in Sicilian. Now takes, and D6. I had an over the board game here. Over the board classical game in this position. And I thought that after D5, knight to E5, I can play. I mean, I thought F4 is just too weakening, but it's not. This position is indeed plus 1.6, almost winning after knight to F3. I mean, this is just very bad. I mean, how will you play the position? I will just play knight e3, maybe play e5 next. This is just hard to play. I mean, e6 I can just take. If you take with the bishop, this is bad, and I fork you as well. So you have to play like this. But I mean, I can even the computer says even bishop b5 here, trading off the pressure. I mean, I guess. But this is just much better because of these two pawns here and because of this knight just being here without any reasons. So he played knight b8, which is one the best move. Okay, I didn't know that. Knight c3, bishop, knight f6, excuse me, bishop e2. Now not the best move, but it's still +1, so nothing wrong with the move itself. G6, knight f3. Now bishop e3 allows bishop g4. Maybe I shouldn't have allowed that. Castles h3, not allowing bishop g4, and the computer doesn't like my moves or neither my opponents, but okay. Castles is the best. A6, rook c1 and b5 is already a mistake apparently. Not sure why, but this game is very bad. Obviously, before e6 I took, which wasn't the bad, but of course I mean, my idea was that d6 is just very weak, which is true. Knight d4, bishop d7, and f4 is a mistake now because of knight to c6, and now I started to realize my position is not that great. I should have played the move knight to d5, but I thought this just trades off some of the pressure and opens up the bishop. I guess there is nothing there, and I'm getting to c6, which is quite an important square. I mean, queen f6. I can just probably play bishop f3 here. I mean, the computer says so, and I mean, I'm not sure. But after knight c6 here, after f4, knight c6, yeah, now I have. What was the best move here actually? Knight c2. I mean, I would never. Maybe in an overboard game, I would consider knight c2, but with bishop f3, e5, maybe as an idea. But I just took, which I think is quite rational. And now bishop f3, queen d3, rook c8, rook d1. The position is just equal. Now takes is the only move. If you take here, for example, with the bishop, I can just take here and take with the knight, and I mean, oh, because if you take on c1, I take on f6 with the check, and if you don't take on c8, you have to play like moves like here, but I still take with check, and you have no time to take on e3. So that's basically it. So you have to take on d6. I took, of course, back. Bishop takes. Now knight takes. Rook takes. Rook takes. Bishop takes back, and now knight takes. Rook takes on a6, knight c3 is a mistake. I didn't respond correctly. King to f1 is the best move. I mean, come on. Bishop b2 now, it's draw after knight to e2 because it's an. I mean, I thought this was fine. I am up to pawns. I mean, I guess rook e4 picks up one of the pawns. I mean, I don't know. h5 here. Now I took and it's a draw again after a3 here. I mean, yes, I made very poor decision here by playing rook to rook to b6, and I had like very little time. I was trying to play as quickly as possible. I played rook b6 and realized, I mean, once my opponent played bishop d4, I realized I just screwed up the game. Yes, here I just resigned because if I move my king, then the rook is hanging and my opponent is just up a rook and he will just win it. So I was basically better the whole game, but I was just spending too much time. So I guess that's my weak point as of today and as of many of games I played in this road to 2500 elo. And yes, I will try to play quicker, but I'm just trying to think as well. So just blitzing out the moves, it's not like me, but okay. Let's go to the second game now. We have another game, we have another white pieces. Let's play d4 this game. This is, I mean, I'm not playing d4 regularly, but I will play d4 now. Knight f6 and now knight c3, the Jobava London system. Why not? I lost the first game, so let me win the second game with this incredibly powerful Jobava London system. You can watch a video on my channel about the Jobava London, and it's very difficult to play if you don't know the theory. My opponent is rated 2000 and doesn't know how to react. I mean, if you don't play d5, then I will play just e4 and get a much better position as I would get from e4, because if g6, for example, I get to e4 and I get a modern defense, which is just pretty much, I mean, it's not horrendous for black, but yes. d5 is played, not allowing e4, so now I play bishop f4. The Jobava London system. Now there are a few options. c6 is one of the options, now e3 is the best move. Now queen b6 is of course the best move. There is also bishop f5, yes. Now knight f3 with an idea of playing knight to e5. G4, h4 next few moves, if allowed, of course. Knight d7 here is possible, but I think bishop d3 there and just c takes on d3, and I just get pretty okay position. My opponent is out of the book. Knight d7 played. I mean, if knight e5, then we just trade off the pieces, so that's pretty bad. I think just bishop d3, and if takes, then c takes back. I mean, if you play bishop to g6, yes, so he takes. I take with the c pawn. That's one of the ideas of the system, is to take with the c pawn in the center. You don't take with the queen necessarily, you take with the c pawn. And my c pawn is actually controlling a lot of squares in the center. I mean, these two squares are just under my control forever. E6, I guess. C5 is an idea, but I can just castle here, I think. Um, Queen e7 perhaps, with an idea to play for e5, but it's quite hard to do. You have to develop the bishop probably to e7. That would be my guess, but then I can play positionally, get the knight to c5, and be just strong on the dark squares here. Okay, knight h5, but um, maybe I should have played h3, but now I, of course, have to trade my bishop and take with the h pawn. And I mean, nothing is wrong with my position in particular. Maybe I should have played h3 and bishop h2 in the event of playing there. Bishop d6 now, yes. I think a3, maybe knight a4 right away. A3 before rook c1 also. I mean, I could play for e4 here as well. I mean, takes and takes doesn't look that bad for me. But then e5 happens and not great. So I will just play positionally a3 before and get the knight to b5. And this kind of resembles the Caro-Kann structures you get. Not quite, because this pawn on e6 should be missing and this pawn on d3 as well, but okay, I mean, nothing wrong with the structure itself. I will place the knight to c5, maybe play before b5 as well. My opponent playing very aggressively, which is probably correct, but I think just e4 here shuts down any ideas that black has. I mean, h5 I can probably just take. I mean, sacking the rook here is just incredibly bad. I play e5 next, and I just trade off the pieces and win the game. H5 I take, g5 I go back, g4 I go on h4 as well. I mean, again, not as well. And I mean, now my position looks pretty perfect. I have spent very little amount of time, so I'm up on the clock. E4 I can take just with the pawn, and then if e5 happens, I could just trade and play f4 at some point as well. F4 looks probably correct. G5 just incredibly insane move. I was thinking about playing e5 here, which I think is the reasonable response. Yes, I think that's natural. I mean, I'm not really worried about h4. Maybe I should be. But I'm... After bishop e7, is h4 a real threat? How to play this? Before h4... g4, h3, g3. Before b5 looks completely natural, stopping any c5 ideas. I mean, if g4... Maybe I underestimated the move g4 here. But I think I'm fine after knight h2, but I did underestimate it. Because then h4 follows, but yes, g4 is just hanging, dropping, whatever you want to call it. But h4 here I can g4, maybe put the knight on, and maybe get the rooks into the h file, and my position doesn't look that bad. No, knight h2 brings the knight out of the game, which is bad. Knight h2, my knight is just dead there, so knight d2, very positional idea to get the knight to c5, but also, I mean, h4, a5, what? Firstly, I can just play with my pawn to b5. I could probably also play moves like knight to b3. But I guess it drops a pawn though. Surprisingly enough. Queen b3, then there is h4, yeah, so I have to be slightly careful. But I think b5 here, if takes then I take and play for a d4 there. Once again, getting a lot of dark square control. Maybe the knight still gets to c5. I mean, takes, I take with the knight, yeah? Queen b6, rook b1, I guess. I am up on the clock, my position looks pretty fine. Um, I mean, a5 probably was a good move, but also rook b1 was maybe there. Queen b6 happens, which is probably an idea. I thought rook b1 here is natural. I guess it drops a pawn. I mean, takes probably looks also fine to me. I think takes him. I mean, queen takes is just bad, I think. Yes, of course. Knight a4. Now my position doesn't look that great, if I'm completely honest. But this king is just very poor, so that's something I'm very happy about. Knight e2 defends the pawn, but um, and gets maybe the knight to f4. So yes, I like that, and maybe get the knight to c5 as well. And I'm slightly passive here with the knight. c5 takes, and then wait, h4 now, but you're you have just no pieces to attack, and then maybe knight g3, rook h. This doesn't look right. No, but this is just bad, I think. Also g3. If rook here, I just go g3 and rook h1. Now I could also go g3 potentially here. I mean, if you're castling long, you should just resign the game immediately. If you get the king to g7, then I mean, this is the problem. But I'm also opening up the h file, and you will get attacked very very soon here. Probably the computer will show some crazy ideas, but I mean, probably this game is just very bad from a computer standpoint. But I enjoy my position so far. I think h4 was just a big mistake. Um, Queen b2. Knight b3. It's definitely something I should be at least slightly worried about. But I think it's nothing. After Queen b2, I can just play Knight b3 and rook b8 though. Knight a5. Think that's great. Maybe Queen b2 here, Knight f4. Drops a pawn here. What? What is this, by the way? Castles long. Who is first is the question, but it never should. Um, First, the Queen c2 is an option just to make some space. Queen c2 now there is no, of course, mate. Rook h1 was also there. Now rook h3 slightly worries me, but I always have knight g1 and just repeat moves. But who wants to repeat moves? Also rook h1, rook h. Takes with the pawn is slightly concerning. But I mean, this queen side will just get completely vanished in few moves. Also, my pawn down to 4 minutes, so that's a very good thing. I mean, c5 just takes and rook c1. Um, I could pre-move c5, d takes on c5, just winning the game. Also bishop e7, but then I play d4. So. He of course won't do that. But if you step on the b file, anywhere like here or here, I play the very deadly move rook to b1, just winning the game here, winning your queen, and the game with it, of course. What? Rook h7. Moves like this just don't look nice. Now we are getting low on time. I mean, at least my opponent is. So I will try to play slightly quicker. I think he's losing a pawn at least. Maybe not. Maybe. I mean, if. Yeah, but now I take. Rook c1. I mean, there is takes, I take, but then a5 is hanging as well. After queen c3 or something. I mean, queen c3. How will you defend the pawn? I mean, there is king here. You take, but this pawn is weak. This pawn is sufficiently guarded. c5 still loses the game because of d4. Knight b3, I take your king, of course. And I will just win this game probably. Quite sure about it. Because I have probably just a dominant position. Knight 3, maybe knight f4. The pawn is hanging, but I mean, like queen c2 here, if you take, I probably can just go here. You cannot defend. There is knight b8, by the way. But then queen c3. Knight gets to f5, perhaps. What? This is just bad. c5 is just bad. Yes, no. d4, I guess. I'm just up a clean pawn. f6, probably the best move in the position, but still. Should lose the game. Takes, knight takes, queen g5. Be slightly careful, but I think I'm fine in this. Knight e4, queen takes. Um, Rook f7, knight. Yes, this is fine. Pressure. Queen f7 is weird. Oh yeah. I mean, I'm slightly surprised. This is the idea, but I have time, so that's good thing. Um, Very good thing. At least I go to g6 and trade off the queen. e5 I can just take. Maybe go in here. I mean, if I get the queen to e5, and here I should be mate. I mean, it is mate if I achieve that because king has to go here, and then queen e6 is just simple mate. Here, but then he has here, but I just take the knight. So I have to probably play knight e4, queen to e5. I don't even take the free pawn, I guess. There is no queen h5 because I take. Here I. Oh, queen h7 is an idea. Sheesh. Might be. I need to be slightly careful, but should calculate this till the end. Here I pick the knight. Here, rook b1. Go check, win the game. Yes, with queen c6. Um, not that easy, by the way. But this is check. Winning. Going to h4. Very important detail, by the way. Oh, but I missed here. It's not good. But I have also here. Yes, sure. Um, yes, at some point. When it sounds still looks somewhat dangerous. Okay, he collapses, but thought he had. Rook b1, queen here. Take, yeah. This should be. I'm threatening mate, of course. I mean, queen a7 still takes. No, queen h7 probably still didn't work because of the king being that weak, but should be tried at least. Given that my opponent has 30 seconds. I missed this move, of course I did, but I mean, not that it's anything special. It's just completely winning, but um, I mean, still shouldn't have missed such a logical move here. Let's make this in a style queen d6 e5. What we have here though? No, this is just game over. But even on the board, it's game over as well. Not only on the clock, but yes, 95. Okay, my opponent resigns because there is just checkmate in one on the board. So let's game review the game. So this is the game review of the game I just played. I played with 88% accuracy. My opponent played pretty badly with 76, but let's analyze now. So I played d4, which is not particularly my most likable move, but after knight f6 I play knight c3, of course, if I play this, because bishop f4, and this is just the Jobava d5, bishop f4. He played c6, which is not the most common move. After e3, bishop f5, he has retransposes to the main variations here, and now knight f3. He played knight bd7, which is fine. Now bishop d3 takes, and I take with the c pawn. That's my idea. I mean, here, here is where I know. And yes, e4 probably should have been played here. I castle though, which wasn't the best. Knight to h5. Bishop g3, what was the best move here? Bishop e5 and getting this, or taking with the pawn even. Yes, taking with the pawn, wow. Okay, I don't know the opening that well, but doesn't matter. Bishop g3, knight takes h, takes bishop d6, of course. A3, trying to play b4. I mean, I'm trying to get a minority attack rolling. Maybe, I mean, h5 here is weird because I mean, when your opponent attacks on the flanks, you should attack in the center. That's a basic rule of thumb. Now g5, e5 was I mean, g5 best move, which is e5, bishop e7, and before, and it's -1. G4 was the best move, 92 simply. And a5 now, mistake. I mean, after b5, my position is just bad. Queen b6 now. B takes. 92, of course, defending the attacked pawn here. h4, and now my position is better. After takes g3 and king g2, of course. Castles long, and I mean, this is probably the biggest mistake of the game because you are just pretty much lost by practical standpoint of the game. I mean, queen c2, I'm attacking you here, I'm attacking you here, defending all the threats against my king. This, I mean, yes, this is just takes and just rook c1, not the best, not the most precise move. Rook b1 slightly better. Okay, rook c1, not bad move either. Takes and takes with the queen c5, of course, a mistake. Why? Because you cannot take here. Because you play here, and you cannot move the knight because if you move the knight, I take your king, which is quite illegal in chess. So queen c7 was played, and now simply d4, of course, defends everything. f6 was probably the best try of something you had here. Now queen g5, and the evaluation goes down. It's still completely winning. +2, it's just winning. He played queen f7. Okay, knight f4, rook. I mean here. Uh, yes, queen h7 was probably the best way to try. And of course, if I go here, I just can probably just resign because this is checkmate. Oh, um, wait a second here. Yeah, you should probably try queen h10, but I can just. So if I play rook e1, I'm fine. Okay, I guess quite weird. I thought about taking the pawn here, which is bad. King b8. I thought this is completely winning after rook. Oh, that's why you should be slightly more careful. Yes, rook b1 here. Yeah, very good move. After queen takes b1, you can just resign as well. But no, he played rook e8 and now rook b1, of course, with a mate threat. This is checkmate. If you play a random move like here, this is just mate in 2. You can go here and queen d6 is checkmate. So I played queen d6 here and he played knight e5 and he resigned because rook b8 is simply checkmate. So for the outro, I will go on full screen. Thank you for being here with me. Today I won one game. I lost the first one. That means that I basically didn't gain any rating points. But anyway, I know what my biggest weakness was today, especially today, and that is my time on the clock, and I will try to improve that in the following days and weeks. So if you have enjoyed the video, I would appreciate you considering liking and subscribing. It would really help me out. And see you guys tomorrow. Bye bye.